Welcome to the Night Audio Stories channel. And today, I'm bringing you my new original story.
Welcome to the Night Audio Stories channel. This is a horror story called The Last Passenger. Marcus Weller had been driving a taxi for 32 years, and he thought he'd seen it all. But on this evening, as October rain drummed on the roof of his old Toyota, he didn't yet know that this shift would change his life forever, or what would be left of it. The clock on the dashboard showed 11:47 p.m. Marcus drove through the empty streets of the industrial district, where a factory once hummed, but now only building skeletons and broken windows remained. The rain made everything even gloomier. Water flowed in streams across the asphalt, reflections of streetlights trembling in puddles. The radio quietly murmured something about traffic, though at this hour there was no traffic here. Never. Marcus only drove here because it was the shortest route to downtown, where he could pick up late bar patrons or night shift workers heading home. 32 years behind the wheel. 32 years of sitting 12 hours a day, breathing cheap air freshener and other people's sweat. 32 years of listening to strangers' phone conversations, couples arguing in the back seat, drunken babbling. 32 years of being invisible. Taxi drivers are always invisible. People get in, give an address, and that's it. You're just part of the mechanism transporting them from point A to point B. Marcus was 58 years old, and he felt every year in his back, in his knees, in his eyes that started to fail after long night shifts. His wife, Janice, had died 4 years ago. Cancer. Quick. Brutal. She was gone in 6 months, and Marcus never got used to the empty apartment, to the bed where he slept alone, to the silence that now filled his life. Driving the taxi had become an escape. Here, he didn't have to think, just drive, listen to the radio, wait for the next call. The money wasn't too bad. Night shifts paid a bit more, and his needs were minimal. Apartment, food, bills, nothing more. The phone on its mount lit up, a new call in the app. Marcus glanced at the screen and frowned. The address was somewhere around here, in the industrial zone, near the old foundry that had closed back in the 90s. He wanted to decline the call. Nothing good could come from there, but a driver's rating dropped if you declined too many calls, and a low rating meant fewer orders. Fewer orders, less money.
Marcus accepted the call and turned onto the dark street leading deeper into the industrial zone. The rain intensified. The wipers barely managed to clear the windshield. Marcus turned on the high beams, and they illuminated piles of construction debris, old car tires, broken pallets. No one had cleaned up here for 20 years. The navigator showed half a kilometer to the destination. Marcus drove slowly, carefully avoiding potholes and puddles. The streetlights here barely worked. Only 1 in 10 emitted a dim yellow light. Finally, he saw the old factory building, massive, gloomy, with broken windows and a collapsed roof. In front of it was a small area, once paved, now more like a lunar landscape, riddled with holes and cracks. And there, under the only working streetlight, stood a figure. Marcus braked about 20 meters away. Something in this picture alarmed him. The man, if it was a man, stood absolutely motionless. The light above him flickered and crackled, creating a stroboscopic effect. Flicker, darkness, flicker, darkness. In the flashes of light, Marcus saw a long, dark coat that reached almost to the ground. A hood or hat he couldn't make out. Face in shadow. Maybe this isn't the passenger.
Maybe I should just turn around. But then his phone lit up again. A message from the passenger. "I'm by the factory. I see you." Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. The man didn't move, didn't wave, didn't approach the car, just stood there, but somehow knew the taxi was here. "It's just work," Marcus told himself. "Pick up the passenger, drop him off, get paid, like always." He slowly drove closer and stopped, rolled down the window. "Did you call a taxi?" His voice sounded too loud in the night silence. The man nodded once, slowly. Then he opened the back door and got in.
The smell hit Marcus immediately. Sharp, unpleasant, something between old meat, damp earth, and something else he couldn't identify. Some chemical aftertaste, like formaldehyde. Marcus almost coughed, but held back. He turned the heat on maximum, hoping it would help dissipate the smell. "Where are we going?" he asked, looking in the rearview mirror. The passenger sat exactly in the middle of the back seat. His face was still in the shadow of the hood or hat. Marcus could now make out that it was a wide-brimmed black hat, like those worn by priests in old movies. "North," the man replied. His voice was quiet, hoarse, as if he hadn't spoken in a long time. "I'll tell you where to stop." "I need a specific address for the meter," Marcus said, trying to sound professional. "You'll be paid enough. Drive north on the main highway." Something in the tone brooked no objection. Marcus turned on the meter and pulled away. In the mirror, the passenger didn't move, sat motionless, looking out the window, or at Marcus. Hard to say. They left the industrial zone and turned on to the main highway heading north out of the city. The rain didn't stop. Marcus turned on the radio to break the silence. "Already the 5th case in the last 2 weeks," the night news announcer was saying. "Police still have no leads on the disappearances of people at night. All victims are men aged 40 to 60. They were last seen late in the evening in different parts of the city. Detective Sanders urges citizens to be careful and avoid deserted places after dark." "Turn it off," the passenger said suddenly. His voice was quiet, but Marcus felt something in it that made his hand automatically reach for the button. The radio went silent. Silence filled the cabin, only the sound of rain and wipers. Marcus gripped the steering wheel tighter. His palms were sweating. "Do you often work nights?" the passenger asked after a long pause. "Depends. Night shifts pay a bit better." "Interesting work, I suppose. You see a lot of people, a lot of stories." "All kinds," Marcus nodded, trying to sound casual, but his heart started beating faster. "Tell me about the most interesting story." Marcus thought. In 32 years there had been many. A drunk businessman crying about divorce, a young couple having sex in the back seat, thinking he didn't see, a woman who gave birth to a child right in his taxi. But for some reason, another story came to mind, one he tried not to think about. "Once," he began, not knowing why he was even telling this, "I was driving a woman, middle of the night. She had bruises on her face, fresh, one eye almost swollen shut. She was shaking, crying, asked me to wait by the house while she got her things, said she was running from her husband." Marcus fell silent. In the mirror, the passenger leaned forward, listening. "And what happened?" he asked. My shift was ending. It was already 6 in the morning. I wanted to go home. I told her I couldn't wait. She begged, said she only needed 5 minutes, but I just drove away." Silence. "And?" The passenger's voice became even quieter.
Next day, the news said they found a woman's body in the river. Her husband killed her that morning. If I had waited, you could have saved her, the passenger finished. Marcus said nothing. He had never told anyone this story, not even Janice, especially not Janice. She wouldn't have understood, or would have understood too well. "Why didn't you wait?" the passenger asked. "I don't know," Marcus whispered, and it was true. He didn't know. Fatigue, indifference, fear, all of the above. "Tell me another story," the passenger said, and Marcus told about the man with a gunshot wound to the leg who begged not to be taken to the hospital, and Marcus dropped him off by the road because he was afraid of trouble. About the teenage runaway he refused a free ride to, even though the kid talked about abuse at home. About the old woman who fell on the street and he drove past because he didn't want to be late for a call. The stories flowed from him like pus from a wound. He talked and couldn't stop. It was like a confession, but not in a church. Something in the passenger's presence pulled all these memories from him, all this guilt he'd been hiding for years.
When he finally fell silent, they had already driven far beyond the city. The rain had stopped, but fog descended on the road, thick and white. The headlights barely penetrated it. "You're a good storyteller, Marcus Weller," the passenger said. Marcus flinched. He hadn't given his name. "How do you know my name?" "It's written on your license, on the dashboard." Marcus glanced. Yes, the taxi driver's license was there, in a plastic holder, with his photo and name. Of course, logical. But something about this explanation was wrong. The license was old, the photo faded. From the back seat, in the darkness, through the hat, you couldn't read the name. "Where are we now?" Marcus asked, looking at the road. He didn't recognize the area. The fog was too thick. "Almost there," the passenger replied. "Turn left in 100 meters. Marcus peered into the fog. He didn't see any turn, any road. "There's no turn," the voice brooked no objection. And suddenly, in the fog, a turn appeared, an old dirt road barely visible. Marcus turned the wheel almost automatically. The taxi left the asphalt onto dirt. The road was narrow, barely wider than the car itself. On both sides, trees encroached, tall, old, their branches intertwining overhead, forming a tunnel. "Where are we going?" Marcus's voice trembled. "Home," the passenger simply replied. "I've been on the road for a very long time, very, very long." Branches scraped against the roof of the car. The fog became even thicker inside the forest. The headlights illuminated only a few meters ahead. Marcus felt rising panic. He should stop, turn around, push this strange passenger out, and drive back to the city, to people, to light. But his foot wouldn't obey. It kept pressing the gas, and the car drove forward along the dark road. "What are you doing to me?" he whispered. In the rear-view mirror, the passenger tilted his head as if surprised by the question. "Me? Nothing. You're driving yourself. You chose this path long ago, Marcus. I'm just showing you where it leads." The hat flew off, and for the first time Marcus saw the passenger's face and screamed. When Marcus came to, the car was standing still. The engine was still running, headlights shining into the white emptiness of fog. His heart was pounding so hard it hurt in his chest. He looked around. The back seat was empty. A dream, he thought. It was just a dream. I dozed off at the wheel. But the smell remained, the same sharp, unpleasant smell of decay and earth.
Marcus got out of the car on trembling legs. Cold air hit his face. He looked around, trying to understand where he was. Forest. Dense, old forest. The dirt road he'd arrived on disappeared into the fog behind. And ahead stood a building. It was an old wooden house, like those built at the beginning of the last century. 2 stories, a high roof, a porch around, but all of it was in terrible condition. Paint peeling, boards rotted, windows broken or covered with wooden boards. A light burned on the porch, one bulb swinging in the wind despite there being no wind. And there stood that man. Now, seeing him fully, without the darkness of the car, Marcus could make out the details. Tall, unnaturally tall, almost 2 meters, thin, angular, as if assembled from sticks. The long black coat hung on him like a scarecrow. But the face, oh God, the face!
The skin was gray, not human-colored, stretched over the bones so tight you could see every protrusion of the skull, every hollow. The eyes, large, too large, pale gray without pupils. They glowed with a dim phosphorescent light. And the mouth, when it smiled, the mouth opened too wide, almost from ear to ear, showing rows of teeth sharp as needles. "Welcome home, Marcus," it said. The voice sounded simultaneously in the air and in Marcus's head. What are you?" Marcus backed toward the car. "Different cultures have called me different things. The ferryman, the collector, the reminder. In some religions I was a demon, in others an angel. Actually, I just do my job, like you." "What job?" The creature descended the porch steps. Its movements were strange, as if it wasn't walking but gliding across the ground. The fog parted before it. "I collect debts," it said simply. "Not monetary ones, other kinds. Debts of guilt, indifference, evil that people do by simply doing nothing." It stopped a few meters from Marcus. In the headlight glow, its shadow was unnaturally long, stretching back to the house. "You told me your stories in the car. Each one is a debt. The woman you left to die, the man who bled out because of your cowardice, the teenager who returned to hell, the old woman who died of hypothermia that night." I couldn't know what would happen," Marcus gasped. "No," the creature tilted its head. "The woman begged you, said he would kill her. You knew. The man was wounded, needed a doctor. You knew. In each case, you knew you should do the right thing, but you chose the easier path, chose yourself." Marcus felt tears filling his eyes. Everything this horror was saying was true. He knew it, had lived with it for years. "If you're going to kill me, then do it," he whispered. "I deserve it." The creature laughed, a low, gurgling sound. "Kill? No, no, no. Death is mercy, and you showed no mercy to others. Why should I show it to you?" It extended a long, bony hand toward the house. "They're waiting in there for you. All of them. Everyone you let down. Everyone you denied help. They've gathered, and they have something to say to you." "No," Marcus backed away, trying to open the car door. "I won't go in there." But the door wouldn't open. The lock clicked, though he didn't touch it. All 4 doors clicked simultaneously. "Central locking," Marcus whispered.
I have my methods, the creature smiled. Then it touched Marcus's shoulder. The pain was instantaneous and absolute, cold, searing cold that penetrated clothing, skin, muscle, straight to the bones. Marcus screamed and fell to his knees. When the pain receded, he raised his head. The car was gone. The dirt road was gone. The fog was gone. He was standing inside the house. The room was enormous, much larger than it seemed from outside. High ceilings disappeared into darkness. The walls were bare, wooden, with peeling paint. The floor creaked under his feet, and everywhere there were people. They stood along the walls, in rows, dozens of them, all motionless, all silent, all looking at him. Marcus recognized the first one, the woman with bruises. She stood directly in front of him. Her face was as he remembered it, beaten, swollen, one eye swollen shut. She wore the same pale blue nightgown she'd been wearing when he picked her up. "Do you remember me?" she asked quietly. Marcus couldn't speak, his throat constricted. "My name was Sarah," she continued. "Sarah Miller. I was 38 years old. I had 2 children, 9 and 11. After you drove away, I went back into the house. I had nowhere to go, no money for a hotel, no relatives in town. I thought I could just grab my things and leave while he was sleeping." She came closer. Marcus saw a tear running down her beaten cheek. The room was enormous, much larger than it seemed from outside. High ceilings disappeared into darkness. The walls were bare, wooden, with peeling paint. The floor creaked under his feet, and everywhere there were people. They stood along the walls, in rows, dozens of them, all motionless, all silent, all looking at him. Marcus recognized the first one, the woman with bruises. She stood directly in front of him. Her face was as he remembered it, beaten, swollen, one eye swollen shut. She wore the same pale blue nightgown she'd been wearing when he picked her up. "Do you remember me?" she asked quietly. Marcus couldn't speak, his throat constricted. "My name was Sarah," she continued. "Sarah Miller. I was 38 years old. I had 2 children, 9 and 11. After you drove away, I went back into the house. I had nowhere to go, no money for a hotel, no relatives in town. I thought I could just grab my things and leave while he was sleeping." She came closer. Marcus saw a tear running down her beaten cheek. "But he wasn't sleeping. He was waiting. And when I came in, he..." She raised her hands, and Marcus saw bruises around her neck, finger marks. 5 minutes. You had to wait just 5 minutes. I would have grabbed my purse, the keys to my sister's car that were in the closet. I would have driven to her place. She lived in the next state. He wouldn't have found me. My children would be with me now. I'm sorry," it burst from Marcus. The words seemed so pathetic, so inadequate. "Sorry?" Sarah's voice became harder. "Were you sorry then, when I begged, when I said he would kill me if I went back? I was tired. I wanted to go home. I didn't think." "You didn't think," she nodded. "Yes, you didn't think, as always."
She stepped back, dissolving into the crowd. A man took her place. Marcus recognized him immediately, the same man with the gunshot wound to the leg. He was young, about 25, with dark hair and freckles. His pants were covered in blood. "My name was Jason Turner," he said.
I was an accountant, worked at a small firm downtown. That night, I was walking home after a meeting, late, almost midnight. I was taking a taxi. He came closer, limping. Blood left tracks on the floor. I was attacked by 3 guys, teenagers, I think. They wanted my wallet. I gave it, but it wasn't enough for one of them. He pulled out a gun, said I was acting superior, looking at him wrong, and shot. Jason stopped right in front of Marcus. His eyes, brown with long lashes, looked straight into his soul. The bullet went through my thigh, hit the artery. I knew I'd die if I didn't get to the hospital quickly, very quickly. I stopped your taxi, said I'd pay double, triple, whatever. You said you didn't want the hospital, Marcus whispered. You said you had problems with the police. I was panicking, she shouted. I had a bullet in my leg. I was in shock. You're a grown man. You saw the blood. You could understand I needed help, whatever I said. He pulled up his pant leg, showing the wound, a black hole in his thigh, still oozing blood. You dropped me off by the road, said you didn't want trouble. I sat there for an hour, watching cars drive past. No one stopped. When they found my body the next morning, I had no blood left. He turned and walked away. A teenager took his place, then an old woman, then someone else, and another. They all told their stories. Each one was a knife to Marcus's heart. Each one proved one thing: he could have helped. He saw the trouble, but chose to do nothing. A woman he refused a free ride to the hospital when she went into premature labor. She gave birth to the child on the street. The child didn't survive. A man he saw being beaten in an alley. Marcus drove past. The man died from head injuries. A college student trying to escape a stalker. Marcus saw them both, her, frightened, running down the street, and the one chasing her. He did nothing, didn't call police, didn't stop. The next day, they found her body.
The stories continued to flow, and Marcus cried, steadily, quietly. Tears ran down his face, and he couldn't stop them. When the last of them finished their story and stepped away, the creature appeared again. It stood in the center of the room, tall and terrible. "Now do you understand?" it asked. "Yes," Marcus croaked. "I understand. I'm a terrible person. I deserve punishment. Do what you want with me." "Punishment?" The creature smiled. "You still don't understand. This isn't about punishment. This is about balance." It approached Marcus and leaned down, its face an inch from his. "There's a balance in the world, Marcus. Good and evil, help and indifference. Some people disturb this balance so much that the universe feels it and sends ones like me to restore equilibrium." "How?" "By giving a choice, the same choice you gave others, to help or to turn away." The creature straightened and gestured to all the dead around. "They're here because of you. Their souls can't find peace because the debt hasn't been paid. Your debt. Now you can pay it." "How? I'll do anything." "There are 2 paths," the creature said. "First, you take their place. Your soul joins them, and they receive freedom. You'll be here, in this place, until someone else comes whose debt is large enough to redeem you. That could happen in a year, or in 100 years, or never." "And the second path?" "You return, continue living,
But now you're bound by an oath. Every time you see someone who needs help, you must help, regardless of the cost to you, regardless of risk, regardless of inconvenience, always, without exceptions. And if I refuse? If you refuse even once, the creature's eyes glowed brighter. You return here, and next time there will be no choice. You become one of them forever.
Marcus looked at the faces around him, at Sarah with the bruises, at Jason with the leg wound, at all the others. They looked at him without hatred, without anger, only with patience. They were waiting for his decision. "How many do I have to help?" he asked. "How many to pay the debt?" "Debts aren't measured by quantity," the creature replied. "They're measured by intention. When your heart truly changes, when helping becomes your nature rather than obligation, then the debt will be paid." "That might never happen." "Perhaps," the creature nodded, "but it's your only chance. Otherwise, eternity here." Marcus closed his eyes. He thought about his life, about 32 years behind the wheel, about all the moments when he chose convenience over helping, about Janice, who always told him to be kinder, softer. He didn't listen. Now he had a chance. Difficult, maybe impossible, but a chance. "I agree," he said, opening his eyes. "I'll take the second path. I swear to help." An oath isn't just words. It's a bond. It will be in your heart, in your soul. You'll feel it always. "I understand." The creature extended its hand. Its fingers were long with black as coal nails. Marcus took that hand. The cold pierced him again, but this time differently. Not painful, but rooting, as if something entered his chest and settled there, a small cold seed that pulsed in rhythm with his heart. Light flashed, blinding and white. Marcus opened his eyes and saw the roof of his taxi. He was sitting behind the wheel. The engine was running. Headlights illuminated the empty dirt road ahead. Rain drummed on the roof again. He jerked around. The back seat was empty. A dream, he thought? Was it just a terrible dream? But when he looked at the clock, 4 hours had passed. He'd arrived for the call at 11:47 p.m. Now it was 3:51 a.m. And on the passenger seat lay a pile of money. Marcus extended a trembling hand and took the bills. Old, yellowed, but real. He counted. $5,000. Under the money lay a note, yellowed paper written in old-fashioned handwriting in ink. "First installment on your debt. Use it wisely. Help those who need help. Remember your oath. I'm always watching. Once, and you return here forever." No signature. Marcus crumpled the note in his fist. Something cold pulsed in his chest. That seed the creature had mentioned. He felt it, real, not a dream, not hallucination. Marcus wiped his face with his hands. They trembled. He took several deep breaths, trying to calm down. Then he turned the car around and drove back to the city. The road he'd come on was an ordinary forest road. No houses, no strange creatures, just trees, fog, and rain. But the seed in his chest continued to pulse, a reminder. The first days, Marcus was afraid. He waited for something to happen.
for the creature to return, for the dead to appear again. But nothing happened. Life continued as usual. He drove passengers, drove his routes, came to the empty apartment, and slept a few hours before the next shift. Only the seed didn't disappear. It was there, a constant reminder of the oath. The first incident happened a week later. Marcus was driving downtown around 2 in the morning when he saw a woman on the shoulder. She stood in the rain without an umbrella, soaked through, crying into her phone. Before, Marcus would have driven past. If she hadn't called a taxi, it wasn't his business. But now, the seed in his chest suddenly grew colder. So cold he gasped in pain. It was a command, an order. He stopped next to the woman and rolled down the window. "Do you need help?" The woman looked at him, young, about 25, with smeared mascara on her cheeks. I don't have any money," she said. "My boyfriend, he threw me out of the car, took my wallet. My phone died. I can't call a taxi." Before, Marcus would have said sorry and driven away. But now, "Get in," he said. "I'll take you home, free." The woman didn't believe it at first. She looked at him suspiciously, looking for the catch. But something in Marcus's face convinced her. She got in the car. He drove her to an apartment on the other side of town. She thanked him again and again, not understanding why he was doing this. Marcus couldn't explain. When she got out, the seed in his chest became a bit warmer. It didn't disappear, but the pain receded. After that, incidents became more frequent. An old man who fell on the street. Marcus helped him up and drove him to the hospital.
A teenager running from home. Marcus gave him the address of a shelter and $300 from that pile of money. A woman with a child who'd been denied social assistance. Marcus paid for her groceries at the store. A homeless person asking for change. Marcus bought him hot food and a blanket. Each time he saw someone in trouble, the seed grew colder. If he ignored it, the pain became unbearable. But when he helped, the seed receded. Months passed. Marcus changed. He no longer drove just for money. He drove looking for people who needed help. Started keeping blankets, water, chocolate bars in the car. Made new contacts, numbers for shelters, free clinics, aid organizations. Other taxi drivers thought he was strange. Why did he help for free? Why spend his money on strangers? Marcus couldn't explain. They wouldn't understand. But sometimes, when he looked in the rearview mirror at night, he saw shadows in the back seat, barely visible, almost invisible. They said nothing, just sat there, watching. Sarah with the bruises, Jason with the leg wound, the others, they were still there, waiting, checking if he kept the oath.
It happened 1 year and 3 months after that night. Marcus was driving the morning shift when he saw an accident. 2 cars collided at an intersection. One flipped on its side. Other drivers went around, not stopping. Someone had probably already called an ambulance, not their business. But the seed in Marcus's chest grew so cold he screamed in pain. He stopped, jumped out of the car, and ran to the flipped vehicle. Inside was a woman, young, pregnant, with blood on her face. She was conscious, but panicking. "Help me," she screamed. "Please, my baby." Marcus tried to open the door, but it was crumpled. He looked around. Other drivers drove past, not stopping. He found a metal pipe on the shoulder and started breaking the rear window. The glass shattered after several blows. He climbed inside, cutting his hands. The woman was stuck. The seatbelt was jammed. Marcus pulled out a knife from his pocket, the same knife he now always carried for such cases, and cut the belt. He pulled her through the broken window just before the ambulance sirens appeared. The woman cried, holding her stomach. Marcus stayed with her, held her hand until the medics arrived. She and the baby survived. Later, she found Marcus through the police to thank him. She said he was her hero. But Marcus didn't feel like a hero. He was just doing what he should do, what the oath forced him to do. That evening, when he came home, another note lay on the table. He didn't know how it got there. The door was locked. "You've started well, but the path is long. Don't forget, once and it all ends." Marcus crumpled the note and threw it away. He knew. He always remembered.
Marcus Weller has now been driving a taxi for 35 years, but the last 3 years have been unlike the previous 32. He's no longer just a driver. He's become something else. People on the streets started recognizing him. The good cabbie, they called him, the one who always helps. Stories about him spread, about how he drove a sick child to the hospital for free, how he saved a man from an attack, how he gave shelter to a homeless family in his apartment for a week. Reporters wanted to interview him. He refused. It wasn't about fame, it was about the debt. The seed in his chest is still there. It grows cold less often now. Marcus learned to see need faster, respond immediately, but it never goes away. Sometimes he wonders, will it ever disappear? Is he forever bound to this oath? But then he thinks about Sarah with the bruises, about Jason with the wound, about all the others, and realizes that if his oath is the price for their peace, he'll pay it. In the evenings, when he drives empty streets, he sometimes sees them in the rear-view mirror, shadows in the back seat. But now they're not frightening. They're almost friendly. He never saw the tall man in the dark coat again, but he knows he's watching, always waiting for a mistake. Marcus won't make that mistake. He can't. Too much depends on it. So he drives, night after night, year after year, looking for those who need help, saving those he can save. This is his punishment. This is his atonement. This is his chance to become better than he was. And somewhere in the darkness, between the light of street lamps, the tall man smiles his terrible smile. The debt is slowly being paid, but it's not fully paid yet, and perhaps never will.
Thank you for listening till the end. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to hear more interesting stories.